When Java Edition was first released, Minecraft terrain was a little sparse. We only had a couple of trees, and in the way of botany, we only had the yellow flower and the rose, both of which were renamed and retextured to later be the dandelion and the poppy. And now, 14 updates later, we have 46 different flowers, trees, plants and coral which spruce up the world massively. The 17 flowers, 4 of which are 2-block tall, add so much colour and vibrance into the world, especially in flower-specific biomes such as sunflower plains, flower forests and swamps. But with the most recent introduction of bees, we need more. While we do have bucket loads of flowers, most of them are biome-specific and only generate in small clusters or alone. I propose to add a whole new list of plants and flowers, some of which would have interesting properties and others which just add colour, life and nectar. And the first thing I would add is smaller variants of the double tall flowers. So currently we have lilacs, rose bushes, peonies, as well as a few other things such as sunflowers and tall grass and large ferns. Now ferns and tall grass already have these, and sunflowers I don't think should have these, but these three do not. Now we're going to start off with the lilac. Now this is very simple. It's pretty much just the top stem. I've made a few changes, but yeah, I definitely think we should have a single tall variant. Now this would just spruce up these biomes a lot. Lots of height variation, all sorts of things like that, and it would look brilliant. Now the rose is a different topic, because the rose used to be in the game but got removed, or not removed, it got replaced with the poppy, although I've actually replaced poppy with the rose again. But I think the rose should be added back, because we've got the double tall rose now, so why shouldn't we have the single rose? I mean, come on, why did you remove it in the first place? And finally the peonies. Similarly to the lilacs, I think peonies should definitely have a 1 tall variant. Now, I'm not completely settled on this texture, maybe a slightly bushier texture, similar to this, but I definitely do think there should be more peony variants. As well as this, I think some blocks should get a double tall variant. To begin with, since we've already done the rosebush and the rose, I think we should have the wither rose with a 2-block variant. Now, the wither rose is already in the game and it gives you the wither effect when you walk over it. The wither rose bush would be pretty much the same, but when you walk through it, it could maybe give you even more debuffs, maybe slowness, poison and do damage at the same time. Sorry, wither effect, not poison. But yeah, I think this looks really cool. And combined with this, it could be a really interesting plant. It'd also look good if it grew in the nether as well, similarly to how this should grow in the nether. As well as this, the orchid should totally get a double tall variant. Look at this, it looks really awesome, and it will definitely spruce up swamp biomes, even though there's no spruce in swamp biomes. Yeah, that wasn't a very good joke, was it? And finally the allium. Now I'm not too happy with this, it's basically just modelled off the peony, but I definitely think it should have a double tall variant. There are other blocks such as tulips and mushrooms and things, but I don't think they should have double tall blocks. Just these three, and maybe even the azure bluette, that could work, or the cornflower, or maybe even the lily of the valley. But these are the three main ones that I think should have a double tall variant. And here are some of the plants. Now these ones we've looked at before. We have the 1-block tall lilac, the rose, the peony, the double tall wither rose, the double tall allium, and the double tall blue orchid. But all of these are completely new. So let's start off with the bluebell. Now these would generate in temperate biomes such as birch forests and forests, but they will not spawn in plains biomes. And they will create purple dye, but they can also create poison if they're eaten in a suspicious stew. They will also be able to replace spider's eyes in a brewing stand. Bonsai trees will grow rarely in any forest biomes such as dark oak, birch or normal forest biomes, and they do not have any effects, but they can also spawn in flower pots in any plains villages. Bulrushes or cattails will spawn similarly to sugarcane. They can also spawn waterlogged in at least 1 block of water. They will not be able to spawn if it's 2 blocks deep. And fish will often breed naturally if they come across waterlogged bulrushes. Marigolds will generate in forest biomes, plain biomes and savanna biomes, but their only use is to craft orange dye. Buttercups will only generate in plains biomes, but they will spawn in large quantities and they can craft yellow dye. Clovers will generate rarely in plains and forest biomes, and they can also be used in a brewing stand to create potions of luck, and they are the only things in the game that are able to do so. Forget-me-nots will generate in forest and plains biomes and can make light blue dye. Geraniums will spawn in plains, forests and extreme hills biomes, and can also be used to craft red dye. Now gorse is one of my favourites. They can be found in huge quantities on extreme hills biomes and also occasionally in plains biomes, and they are actually eaten, similarly to grass, by sheep, cows and horses. Their flowers can also be picked and eaten by a player, and they are extremely flammable and also injure the player if they're walked through, like so. Honeysuckle will only spawn in jungle biomes, but unlike any other plant, they can also be planted on leaves, logs as well as grass. They can craft yellow dye, and similarly to how cows and sheep and things eat grass, they will also be eaten by parrots and are very, very popular among bees, who are guaranteed to share the location of any honeysuckle in a jungle biome. Jasmine will also spawn in jungle biomes, but it can also be found in swamp biomes, and they will craft white dye. Pansies will craft magenta dye and can be found in any forests or plains or temperate biomes. Saffron is extremely rare and will only generate in savanna and jungle biomes. When placed on a crafting table, they can create saffron string, which can then further be crafted into red dye, which can also be eaten very quickly, which restore half a hunger point. Snowdrops will spawn in any cold or temperate biome and can be eaten to get rid of poison or wither effect. Only those 2 effects, so it's similar to milk but only those 2 effects. But when eaten, it will provide you with 5 seconds of nausea. They can also be crafted into white dye and provide you with nausea if they're used in a suspicious stew. Sundew plants are extremely rare and only generate in extreme hills biomes. They will consume rotten flesh and raw meat when it's right-clicked on them, and will kill any bees that try to collect nectar from them. They will provide regeneration when used in a suspicious stew, oddly enough. Aloe spawns in hot biomes such as savannas, jungles and desert biomes, and can also be grown on sand, red sand, coarse dirt or just grass. They are fairly uncommon and can be used to make instant health potions in a brewing stand. They will also spawn naturally in flower pots in savanna and desert villages. Venus flytraps are also one of my favourites. Similarly to sundew plants, they will kill spiders, bees and any future added insect that walk or fly over them. They will snapshot and kill them slowly, but they will cause them to drop nothing. When a spider or a bee walks through it, it will fall to the ground and is unable to move. Violets will spawn in plains and forest biomes and can be used to craft purple dye. But we're not done. We've also got some more double tall plants over there, and also some mushrooms and cacti. So, we already have the brown mushroom as well as the red mushroom, but how would we feel if we added more? I propose to add 3 more mushrooms. Now, they wouldn't have to have particular names, they could just be called cone mushrooms, purple mushrooms, and cluster mushrooms. Those are just made up, they could be called anything. And basically, they will spawn in forest biomes, plains biomes, mushroom island biomes, swamp biomes. They will spawn nearly anywhere. However, these ones will only spawn on mushroom islands and dark forests. Some of them, but very few of them, can be eaten, and the rest can be used to craft poison in a suspicious stew. As well as these, there are some steppe mushrooms. Now, these are 3 that I textured, and I love these so much. These use the coral fans, and I really wish they were in the game. They look so awesome, look at them. But yeah, these are steppe mushrooms, which will grow on trees in absolutely any biome. They will spawn on the sides of trees, and I think they would look really fantastic. Next up we have more cacti. Now firstly we just have a very tall cactus that spawns similarly to this one in desert biomes. And when broken the whole cactus will collapse and they will have the same properties as normal cactus. You can also find these really small cacti and they will also spawn similarly to these cacti and will have the same properties. And finally this cactus seems normal, but it actually has 2 purple dots on it. This is because cacti in real life can actually have flowers, and I think that very few cacti, only some, not every single one, should spawn with a flower or 2 on it. I think it looks awesome and it would be a really nice feature. And here we have 3 more double tall plants. Firstly we have the daffodil. Now this would spawn in most temperate biomes, forests, flower forests, plains, all sorts, and basically it would just craft yellow dye. That would be its only purpose. But if we were to add seasons into Minecraft, which I really think would be a good idea, we should definitely add daffodils only when it's spring. I think that would be awesome, and the only time you can keep them is if you plant them yourself, otherwise they'll go by the time spring has ended. As well as this we have the rhododendron, and this would be the only plant that generates naturally above 3 blocks tall, because rhododendrons can grow between 3 and 6 feet in real life. It would definitely be one of the tallest plants here, apart from maybe the cactus and the sugarcane. And finally we can have the foxglove. Now this would actually create poison in a brewing stand or a suspicious stew, and this would grow naturally in any forests or plains biomes. It would also be able to craft magenta dye on a crafting table, similarly to how rhododendrons would also craft magenta dye. And finally, last but certainly not least, we have 3 more double tall flowers. The first one is the snapdragon. This one would generate in plains and forest biomes, and I think it looks really awesome. And I wouldn't even mind a single tall block variant. Secondly is lavender, and this could have some interesting properties in things like suspicious stew and brewing recipes. For example, I think it would make a good regeneration potion. And of course this one would create pink dye, this one would create purple. Also the lavender could have a cool new biome similar to the sunflower plains biome, but instead a lavender forest or something similar to that. I think it would look really awesome. And finally we have the hydrangea, and this could have multiple different forms. I think it should have biome colours, because in real life you can plant it in different places, different climates, and the flowers will actually be a different colour. The example here I have blue, but you could have pink, red and white, and I think when it spawns naturally in a certain biome you can have a different colour, and when you place it in that biome it will always have that colour. I think that would be really interesting. But anyway, that is it for this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. I do hope you liked these flower designs. I had lots of fun making these, especially things like the double tall wither rose and the Venus flytrap. I love making these. I also love the mushrooms and the cacti. So many cool ideas that I really wish were in the game. This still does kind of feel like vanilla. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.